What's up, explorers? Christopher J. Wesley here for the latest episode of Canvas and Quill. So, like last week, I'm going to start with a flash fiction. This flash fiction is based on the artwork to my right. That is Sisterhood number 2. This one was originally exhibited at Daytona City Art Gallery. I want to say probably about 2008. It was my second public exhibition. And again, like last week, so this one too is written, the flash fiction is written as if this were painted by the fictional character, Lindsay Falco. And the flash fiction that I wrote for it is kind of an answer to the question of how do the bonds of family and friendship shape our journey through life's darkest moments? My mom had just got home from the hospital after her first suicide attempt. She had told Susan and I that she could still hear our dad talking to her from inside her head. I didn't quite understand why my dad didn't talk to me too, and it made me sad enough that not even the new movie, Pippi in the South Seas, featuring my favorite character, Pippi Longstocking, could cheer me up. That night, as I sulked in my bed, Susan poked her head over the edge of her top bunk and told me that we were going to have adventures too, and she suggested that we might even find our dad on some island. We'll see the world, she told me, just you and me. And if we do find Dad, we'll rescue him and bring him home to Mom. After that night, Susan and I would sit at the kitchen table and plot the places we'd travel to in search of our dad. This went on for years until we were finally there. The two of us had our tickets and our itinerary and marked our calendars with the day that we were flying to Greece. Then my big sister found out she was pregnant and that the baby was due 2 weeks before we were supposed to land in Athens. I painted Sisterhood 2 as a kind of consolation prize. I could have still gone to Greece on my own, or maybe found someone else to go with me, but it was Susan I wanted by my side. She was the one who would cheer me up with visions of our travel together as our mom fell apart. If I couldn't have her with me, I didn't want to go at all. Like all the artworks that I create and the flash fictions that I write for them, they're always little pieces of like real life stuff, the real life emotions that go with it. What I talk about in the flash fiction is like nowhere near real life except for like the emotion part of it. There's, as someone who's always felt deeply, what some people call like highly sensitive, my bond with my siblings has always been important to me. And that, I think, is what I was expressing most in this. We're taught by society about how blood is quote unquote thicker than water. And from my experience, it's not even that it's not been true. I think I've learned that it's really bond, not blood, that connects us to the important people in our lives. Growing up, I first bonded with my step siblings, and because of the conditions that we were living under, we formed a trauma bond. And I mean, even in grade school, kids that were like 7, 8, 9 years old, they would recognize, they would say that we were close, we were tight in a way that they'd never seen of other siblings, and it's not the same thing, but the closest description of the kind of bond we have is soldiers in combat. It's like living through something that you bond with each other is, I mean, is part of survival. And it took me a long time. Actually, it's only probably about the past 5 years that I've really kind of understood how intense it was when the courts took me out of my father's house in 6th grade. I mean, I literally, I had this bond with my step siblings, and I came home from school one day, and it was just normal, like nothing out of the ordinary. And went my coming in the house, we would pass by my bedroom on the way to my stepsister's bedroom. So we got to my bedroom first, and we noticed, my two stepsisters and I took the same bus home, and we noticed that my stepmom was in my room packing my stuff. And it was then that I learned that I was moving in with my mom. I had no clue that anything was even happening behind the scenes prior to this. So at that point, my mom was already on her way to get me. So I like found out I'm moving, and I got essentially ripped away from, at that point, the three most important people to my survival. And then my mom came, got me. Part of me was happy to get out of my father's house. I mean, it felt like escaping. But at the same time, it was really difficult to leave them behind. And to know that they were still living under those conditions. There's certain guilt that comes with escaping the danger and knowing you're leaving people that you care behind still in that danger. And then within 5 minutes of the drive to my mom's house, she warned me that if I did anything to cause a rift between her and my stepfather, that I was coming right back. I was going to be sent right back to my dad's. And that, I mean, I had that like 5 minutes maybe of like trying to deal with all the other emotions before I had to like comprehend that, well, I have to really, really like manage my behavior so that I wouldn't get sent back, which with my personality I never got sent back. But it didn't take too long before I went back to just being rebellious. I don't know, rebellious, but not kowtowing to what they were trying to make me, what she was trying to make me be, who she was trying to make me be. I think that rift really impacted how I related to my blood-related brother and sister, because it was, moving back in with them, it was just a different vibe in the house. It was survival, but there was just a different way about it. With my step siblings, we bonded together in a way that in my mom's house, she was real good about like dividing us, and never really formed that. So that's how I learned that, bonds with friends would actually kind of really took that place. The first time I had surgery, I had a friend take me, and ended up having a situation where I couldn't go back home. There were problems with the procedure, and wound up staying at that friend's house for a couple days. And I think my mom found out, I don't know, a couple months later, and she was pissed that I didn't call her. But it was like every time I had ever asked for help, I never got it. So I quit asking. When I needed something, I reached out to the people that actually I could count on, which were friends. So I think, each of us has to kind of figure that out, depending on the toxicity of your family, toxicity of your friends. You got to kind of figure out who is important, who it's best to keep around, and under what conditions you keep those people around. And I know from personal experience, sometimes it isn't even something they did wrong. I know some of my relationships I've had to step away from because I don't know how to be healthy around them, and it's nothing they do. It's in me. It's like I have to mature in certain ways before I can like be part of that relationship in a healthy way for me. And even doing that, I understand that if I ever get to that point or mature where I can like resume that relationship and be healthy in it, um, they may choose to keep things the way they were. But I don't know. It fascinates me, the way relationships go. Part of the reason I write stories. So just something to think about. You know, how do you see the way your familial relationships impact the way you manage yourself when times get hard? That's it for today, and I will catch you at noon Pacific time next week.